guys, thank you so much for clicking the link and seeing you here right now with us. We really want to break this apart, disappointment, the victim mindset and everything else that comes along with it. I'm sure you've experienced it. So really congratulations for taking action. That's really the secret right there. By taking action, you start to see results, and that confirms to you, I'm not a victim. If I just take action, I start to get feedback and results, and my life will transform. So well done for just clicking and getting to this point.
Yes, and when you take that action, it actually shows that you have come to that humbling process within yourself when you are seeking for answers. Perhaps something that happened in your life has brought you to questions where you are actually wondering why you are where you are, why you're experiencing what you're experiencing, and you might be in a confused state. As Tony Robbins often says, that confused state is the best place to be at, because this is when you're actually opening up. We read it in a book recently, Transcending the Levels of Consciousness, that the crisis is actually the window to God's work, which means that you're humbling yourself enough to go, I don't know anything. As much as you know, actually at this time you don't know anything, and you're open and you're flexible enough to receive new impulses and new information that is likely to change your environment.
You know, this is it right here. Watching videos, reading books, based on other people's experiences, and it's our sort of dharma to go through it and share it immediately, even if it's still sore and it's still happening and we're in the midst of dealing with disappointments. You know, our thing is just to share it straight away while it's fresh and we're in it and on the other side of it and even before it, to capsulate different perspective of a situation, to give it to you fresh as it is. Really, I mean, this is fresh from the oven, dealing with this stuff. So when something happens to you, the first thing is that as soon as we see it as happening to us, we become a victim, right? So if it's to you, it's personal. It's how dare they? It's an attack. You feel like my livelihood is under threat. All these things start coming up, and you notice that we come into a state of fight or flight mode. Or you want to fight, or you want to just run away. And it's a very primal feeling where it comes up, and you react. You react because you're coming from your
primitive.
Well, your lower self, the primitive side of us. That we are blessed to be in a place where we can actually go from the limbic part of the brain. This is emotion, feeling, which is the newest part of the brain, so that we can come from that place, centering ourselves, because the amygdala flares up. That's the fight or flight part, right? We're freaking out. It's happening to us, and we start reacting from a space of being scared and fearful. And any action from that place, I've got to tell you, is not going to work out very well. It's in these times of crisis that instead of when you're spinning out in your car and you're driving and you see the wall, if you keep focusing on the wall, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to go into crash into the wall. It's a moment where you're freaking out, you see the wall, but you put your head towards the road and you turn towards the road. In our situation, if you're looking at something's happened to you, someone's done something, do you keep focusing on what they've done to you, or do you keep focusing on the solution? Even though it's so hard, the brain is reacting. You are having to then, the switch has happened, right? The blood flows to the amygdala. Our role, and to let you know, is to even just stop, take a breath. And as many challenging moments as they can be, I do what I can to take away the blood flow from that place and go from non-reaction. Take a breath and say, what's the goodness? What's the goodness? Get your mind to break the illusion that it's all bad and to see the other side of it, just to give yourself equilibrium. You may not be grateful for the situation at that time, but to pull yourself out of it. I mean, literally, you have to pull the primal part of yourself out of it and get yourself back to reality. Because if you don't, you're going to go down that path of victim, going into the wall. Your life will, where your focus goes, energy flows. So putting it there is not going to do any good for you. really pull yourself out of it and go, right, what is the solution? As much as it is, I want to blame, I want to, vilify them, I want to tear them apart, whatever it might be. That focus, you're just going to get more of that. And your business, your personal life, your relationships will go down with that mentality, with that level of vibration. If you pull yourself and you do everything you can by watching this video, put yourself back on the road towards the solution rather than the blaming, understanding that karma itself will take care of it. If someone is doing something that they probably shouldn't have been doing, rely on the universe. Just take care of yourself and put yourself back on the solution.
Yeah, it's good that you have mentioned karma, because just keep in mind one very important thing. Nothing is ever happening to us against our will. We have chosen it. Our higher selves and our souls have chosen it on one level or the other. Even if the ego doesn't understand it, it is still for your highest good. That is the amazing thing. So when that triggering is happening, and as Alex said, the primal part comes on, also all of your fears and all of your pains that have originated from your childhood come on. And the conversations you were maybe having with your parents or your caretakers that had a certain vision of you when you were failing to meet their expectations, those voices and those fears are the ones that come up. And this is usually, having to stay loyal to that voice, this is usually what drags us down. When these moments come on and you watch yourself and you observe yourself going in a downward spiral of self-blame, self-criticism, apathy, fear, you name it, which are all natural, very, very natural experiences that are showing you that at this point in time, you are about to break through. I know it's very difficult to see it when you are in it, but that means you're just about to break through. But in order to break through, you have to make peace. You have to make peace with those parts of yourself that are being judged right now. You have to make peace with the parts of yourself that have been judged by your parents, by your caretakers, and give compassion to yourself for being brave, for being courageous to have taken a new step in your life that has brought you closer to those feelings of disappointment.
Yeah, you can actually feel the disappointment when it happens and you feel like you're going to the victim mindset because you feel it here. It's like you're in your head.
Yes, so true.
When you're in your head, you're dead, right? Nothing good comes from a place of this focused sort of anger, this point. It's like you're crushing the third eye or something. It's like you're blocking it off. It's this pain, and it may keep you up late at night. So the symptoms of it are, you're not going to sleep, or if you wake up during the night, things are on your mind, and they will keep being on your mind unless you do something about it. And if it's, meditating in the morning, creating space to allow for something new to bubble up to the surface, do it. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, that's insanity.
This is a very, very important point. Sorry, I have to really anchor this one. That what Alex is saying is that if you are staying in your mind and you carry on reliving the same scenarios over and over again, this can lead to a mental breakdown and potentially a mental disorder, which basically would mean is that you will be locked in your mind's own prison, in your fears, in your paranoia, that you will be looking for things that will be confirming to you that it is exactly what has happened to you. And then later on, you can potentially lose faith in all people. But this is not what this exercise is for. This is not what your higher self has called you up to be. When you're noticing yourself going into that loop, be kind and loving to yourself enough to seek for help.
Yeah, I went through that situation. I remember someone disappointed me, and when you have been close, the love and everything else, and you're disappointed and you haven't done the personal development work that we've done. Back then I hadn't done it, and because I hadn't become aware of the things and how to deal with it, that what we're telling you, it really spun me out, and the voices in my head would just take over, and suddenly I had no control over that. And you'd shower and it'd be in your head, and you couldn't be left alone. The judgment, the criticism, the victim state, and blaming them. What happens is that the love that is innately in us, we get cut off from it. We get cut off from our own love to ourselves. And when we do this, we become sort of an empty vessel. And we just operate and react. And when you come from that state, it's like something's just left behind your eye, like a hologram. And there's just nothing there. There's nothing there.
The light has gone, yeah.
Yeah, and when you light, I remember people coming up to me this years ago, you know, what's happened? Where's the spark in your eye? And I just couldn't get there. It's like being lost in a maze of your own mind, trying to find your way back to your heart, and you're literally in a prison of your own mind. And going from that experience and being able to go from the bottom, from that place, to do the work on myself, and it was not easy, facing myself, knowing that I had created these situations, and the familiar feelings from my own childhood, and all this unraveling. I'd had to face myself, going from Landmark to going to UPW, and doing the work. I'm telling you, implementing the stuff that we're saying will transform your life. You can't help but put your hand in a pot of glue without some of it sticking, as Dr. John DeMartini would say. And 18 months later, from UPW, from this space of mind I was in, I'm representing Tony, going on stages, I'm speaking, sharing my experiences, not being embarrassed by my challenges, because every master was a disaster. You have to appreciate that failure as a part of growth. It's just stepping out, because when you're in your head and you're trying to do things, it's so difficult because you're left with yourself. You're in your head, you're not allowing anything new to flow through. So how can you ever expect to do incredible things that you've never done before if you're still in your head judging yourself? You can't, because you've never done it before. Of course you're going to fail. This is part of the whole thing. Of course you're going to be met with disappointment. But if that's, we can use that as an excuse to stay where we are, because it's comfortable, and we can just blame and point the finger and say they're wrong and this. I mean, my God, we got enough out there to give us all the confirmation, all the material. But then how does it serve you? How has it served you so far by just saying this? And I'm saying it out loud, because I'm saying it to myself as I tell you. It's a reminder. This is why I feel blessed to be able to do this work, because it's my higher self talking, and there's Alex still sitting there going, oh, yeah, you're right. It's like I'm hearing this for the first time myself every time I say it, and I'm like, I should just keep talking. That's it. I should have a camera attached to me like this.
This was exactly the idea. But in these times, it's the moments to establish a relationship with your higher self. As people start giving up and going, okay, all right, I'm done. If you watch developments of the great masters and the great influences of this world. Now I'm talking about the real influences of this world. These are the people who have faced the bottom of possible disasters. That might have been, I don't know, raped, conned, suppressed, depressed, imprisoned, and so many of them have used that opportunity to, as I said before, to humble down and surrender themselves to their higher self, as what Alex is doing every time he's speaking. He is honoring himself enough to allow his higher self to come through. So you're establishing that relationship by basically just reaching out and going, okay, ego aside, everything aside, I take the responsibility for this. I surrender. I surrender to my higher self. I surrender to the divine guidance. I am asking for help. I am asking for answers. I want, how you say it, I believe that I am supported and I'm divinely guided. Please guide me. And this is the time when you start establishing that connection, as I said to you in that book, Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. This is the time when breakthroughs happen, or as people say, miracles happen, because people then finally get in touch with that spirit part of them, that unlimited potential part of them, that ignites that new level of consciousness. And we were speaking to our dear friend Carol yesterday about this, and when you see problems arising, and say, for example, you have one problem, one person, and you are the other person, right? And you are dealing with something from a 3D level. He is the problem, no, you are the problem, no, you are the problem. So when you're doing that, it's inevitable that you will clash and it will become a collateral damage. Now, if you rise above it and you see it from the perspective of the solution, the perspective of all possible possibilities, the belief in yourself and belief that you are supported and protected, you straight away, by rising up, giving the opportunity to dissolve that resistance and that darker side that is really, in all essence, is just there to serve you. Everything in your life and every person and every experience in your life is there to serve your higher self. And you will only be able to appreciate it and see it when you rise above it and you come from the place of your heart, not your mind. Your mind is only there to assist you, not to run the show. The mind is going to ask for control. The heart is going to ask for love. The heart is going to exude love. And only from your heart will you be able to change anything.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever felt feeling inside your gut and didn't follow it? Now, how did it work out for you? When you didn't follow your very instincts, it probably didn't work out too well. It's then honoring yourself and not going against yourself when situations occur. And this is something to really cultivate. Even if it's scary to confront it and you want, it's better to just ignore it, I can tell you you're going to be met with disappointment later, especially when you feel you could have done something about it then. And it may be scary. Maybe you don't want to bring it up because of whatever reason. And people may judge you for that. But because of your own childhood experience, that's how you sort of dealt with situations. It's why, judging yourself, judging others is a pointless task, because we don't know everyone's situation at that time. People are doing the best they can every time, whatever situations they're going through. And it's just so easy to project that disappointment to others, right? Because we're talking about disappointment, you're disappointed in them, they could be disappointed with you. How do you deal with people who are disappointed in you? They're expecting something and you did your very best, they're disappointed. What can you do about it? You can just stay, I'm a disappointment. My parents were like this with me when I was a kid. So you attract situations in your life that you can carry on being a disappointment, because it's a familiar feeling that you're aware of. And I'm looking at this now because maybe you're attracting something in your life that you keep becoming a disappointment rather than being disappointed by something else. Have you noticed their pattern? Because it's all about patterns. If you can spot it, go to your earliest point in your childhood where that thing happened. You go, where was the first time that happened? Okay, why am I creating that again and again? What is it I need to learn from this karmic lesson? And by asking these questions, rather than going, oh, I'm such a disappointment, why am I such a disappointment? You're going to keep finding the answers to the questions. So you've got to ask yourself better quality questions and find that breakthrough. Go, that is why, because of that feeling I'm familiar with. It's a connection I want to a childhood lost, and whatever it might be, you can get to work on it and really, finding the resources out there to stop those karmic lessons.
Yeah, and how do you work on it? By acknowledging that child that is experiencing those disappointments and feeling smaller and smaller than itself, you comfort that child just with your thoughts of approval and acceptance. There are so many different practices out there that are helping with that, but the essence is the same. Where you're actually reaching out and you're embracing your child self and you being that parent to yourself that perhaps that you were seeking, and perhaps that approval of whom you are seeking all this time. So when you become that for yourself and you come from that higher perspective and you embrace yourself in that love and non-judgmental state, then your reality seems to change because you almost reprogram yourself. But in order to do that and to see long-lasting results, you have to commit to it over and over and over and over again. It has to become a discipline. It has to become a muscle that you train, that you are retraining your dialogue within yourself from the negative to the positive, always. And the best way to encode or reprogram your reality is always start with two words. I am. I am happy. I am fulfilled. I am understood. I am accepted. I am successful. The list is endless. And by you repeating that over and over again, when those stimuli is coming and you're just giving yourself that assurance with those words of I am, you later on will see that whoever comes to you and you see yourself in them, you learn to have compassion for them. And you learn to have that feeling that your field expands just from being you to everybody you meet and everybody you touch. Because you learn to have that relationship with them of acceptance. When you have the relationship of acceptance, this is where trust grows, right?
Yeah, well, you might feel like I've got nothing to feel blessed about. Well, you know, brushing teeth in the morning, I am blessed to have teeth to brush. You know, start with something small. I am blessed to have a toothbrush to brush my teeth. Whatever it is, success builds on success, and what you appreciates. So starting with something small, it really will grow because it's a continuous work that you do every single day. It's a ritual. It's a ritual of yourself. You're honoring yourself to go, you know what? I'm done with being disappointed, a victim, worthless. I'm not enough, you know, I'm done with it. And you make that decision and you start implementing little changes like this, the habits, in a year's time, your life will look so different. Because once you change what's going on in here, your outer world is going to change, because this stuff, the matter of what we are, the voice, the communication within, has a ripple effect. It sends off vibrations, and then we attract the very vibration of what's channeling through us, right? The communication, if it's negative in your, and I know this because I've been in so many different states. I was very defensive when I was younger, and you know, there's this sort of fighting feeling, and I would attract these situations. People wanted to fight, for example, like, you know, oh, it's so unfair, because I had that, and I would put it in someone else who was in the same vibration. We just collide, you pull them out of a crowd. It's very odd how you can do that, but if you are honoring yourself and you're compassionate and you've done the work, you will attract those very people out of the crowd towards you. So, you know, this helps if you're single and you want to start attracting the kind of right person in your life. You know, doing this work, you will find that person will be pulled towards you because they've seen that you've done the work. Then it's the ego attachment. The idea of the ego knows. That's a disappointment. It's, I should have known, because the ego is there to protect you, right? And it's funny that the very thing that's protecting you can also blind you. And when you're blinded by it because your ego, it's like your ego's done the double whammy here. Because it kind of does it unconsciously to bring a situation in, because it gets that secret pleasure of that, your fault, your blame, and it's under there. So it kind of seeks it. And it's your job, your higher self, to realize that the ego comes in to bring in situations to then blame others, because it feels good to know that they're wrong and you're right.
But the ego cannot complete it.
Of course not.
Ego can only loop it.
Yes.
You see.
You know that feeling, right?
It's just, the ego can initiate it, but it will loop it. It's not the ego's job to complete it. You see, even if the situations are being presented to you, then it always takes a higher perspective to complete it, always. Because you cannot solve the problem from the same level of consciousness that has created it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's just going to be insanity.
Well, it feels like insanity. I've been through moments where I thought I was just, you know, one of those records, like, when you don't complete it. And after this realizing of completion, I'm like you could say addicted to completion in a healthy way. Some may see that it's not, but I like to, anything that fills time, things in my head, time and space in your head, it's something that's not completed. So I have a thing of just wanting to complete as many things as I can, just to have an empty head, just to kind of go do, and then it's just free flow to the higher self that comes through, right? Because I'm completing the things that would otherwise keep me from there. So we all have our own processes of how we deal with things. So maybe you got a lot of things that are just in your head. You know, first just get it out, write it down. What are the things that are in your head? What are the things that you're disappointed in? Why did it need to go a certain way? Getting it out of your head, just writing and look at it and go, is it worth me being stuck, miserable and unhappy? And if I stay in that state, am I just going to attract more of it? Yes, you will. You know, the things that you don't want, you seem to get, weirdly, more. You know, when you're really adamant, I don't want that, you get that. I don't want bills, I don't want bills, and suddenly you attract more bills, because the subconscious mind doesn't hear I don't want, it hears I want. So you catch yourself, because all the disappointments you're getting, they're the very things that you're calling for. So it's being aware of actually going, what am I actually calling for here? I don't want this and I don't want that. Well, and it keeps happening. I got to change the communication, otherwise I'm going to keep getting it. So have you noticed yourself saying things, I don't want bills, or I don't want...
But wanting or not wanting in itself is already a programming.
Yeah.
Because the more you want something, the more you will affirm that you will carry on wanting it.
Yes, exactly.
So the completeness process, it's actually a very beautiful term used by Teal Swan in one of her books called the completion process. The completion process is actually a lot more, not complicated, it's a little bit different than what we think. When we think in a linear way, and when we're thinking in a linear way of problem presented, time and the process needs to pass in order to complete it, in order to come to a certain outcome. The real process behind it is realizing that it is already complete as it is. Aligning yourself to the feeling of completeness, aligning yourself to the feeling of all is well, and all is good, and all is complete, and thanking already yourself for having got the solution to that. So that's going from the linear way of thinking, you know, a few years past the line, a few days past the line, it's going to come, and if I do this, and this, it's going to happen. Funny enough, it never happens the way that you think linearly. It will happen in the way that you think expansively, like vertically, you know, because it will be always achieved only through the new level of awareness and completeness within you, because remember, everything is a reflection of yourself.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the whole I don't want and want, the level of resistance. There's no resistance to the I don't want it in a way that I don't want it, so there's no resistance of wanting it. But when you want something, there's resistance because I want it, and so you kind of push it away because you feel like maybe you don't deserve it, and that's the worthy part of yourself. If you don't work on this from your past, of the decisions that you've made, that you've been disappointed, you're going to karmically take that into the very thing that you want, and it's going to be your past self and the disappointments. I'm not enough. I shouldn't have done that. I feel guilty. I'm a victim. Between the thing you want. So it's all of that stuff you have to deal with. So what is it you actually have to deal with? It's that muck in between. So where do you have to go? Where the muck was created? In your past. You look back at the past, those moments that you felt like a victim, where you're disappointed, and you look at the other side of it, and you break the illusion. Suddenly you transform it, it's not there anymore. So suddenly the things that are in between the things you want start to disappear, and it's that much closer to you. Suddenly it's not so much resistance. I always see it like the clown trying to pick up its hat, wanting to pick it up, but kicks it away, and it has to go down again, kicks it away, you know, accidentally as it tries to pick up the hat. It's kind of the same thing we do with the things that we want. And when you see that, I've seen it myself. It's when you want for nothing, you get everything. So just being whole and complete, you can attract anything that, well, your life becomes full, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's letting go of the attachment of how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, just
because that is what is preempting the disappointment.
Yeah.
What is a disappointment? Your own expectations. When you don't expect anything, but you give it your all, you get your all back. This is a very important concept to keep in mind, because expectations are very hard to be met, to be honest, because if they are to be met, because expectations always keep you in that superior state to a degree that it separates you from that humbleness, whereas there is an acceptance and receiving, and in the knowing that you are taken care of and protected and looked after. You know, you always have to take the necessary steps, but those steps need to be in line with you honoring yourself.
Yeah, as even Sadhguru said, you know, even if God came down and was your girlfriend or boyfriend, you'd have certain expectations, and he wouldn't be able to meet them, or she wouldn't be able to meet them. So it's getting this idea of, you know, if they're this, and this, then I'll be with them, or whatever the expectations are. And it's the hardest thing, because we want life to be a certain way, but we must realize now, much feedback, it doesn't usually happen that way. And in fact, you're stopping it from becoming better than your limited mind wanted to see it as. You know, you want to see it come into, you know, how can I make it work this way? Let go of the how. Find your why you want it. The how will take care of itself, I'm sure you've heard. So going back into the situation that we've, you know, dealt with recently, looking at not judging others of what they've done, by seeing the good in what's happened for us, focusing on that, never putting yourself in the victim state, even if all the evidence is saying that you're a victim. If society says that you're a victim, whatever it is, it doesn't serve you by being a victim. In fact, it's not true it doesn't serve you, it does serve you. It can serve you by being a victim. Of course it can. You can get sympathy, you can get money, I mean, you can get things from it. But is it from your higher self? Are you just using that as a means to get what you want? And looking at that, people might in your life may be constantly a victim because they keep getting your sympathy, your help. Maybe you want to stop that loop as well and go, you know what? I want to empower them rather than disempower them by meeting their victim mindset, by supporting this crutch that they're a victim. They're not happy. No one's happy as a victim. They may be getting their needs met, but it's not sustainable. They feel lesser and lesser, and they're going to drop down vibration from wherever they are, and it's going to get to the lowest one of shame. And who knows, people with a victim mindset, you know, they suicide themselves and things like this happen. Our role here is to empower people, not keep this illusion up.
Yeah, because remember that you are responsible for everything that goes on in your life. And if there is a certain blockage or a certain situation that you don't like, it is reflected back at you of how you programmed it yourself. I'm just going to give you an example from our life. For example, that we have gone through the scenarios where we have seen ourselves to be in all the different situations. Say in the same place that the other person that we are seeing now, we were in that spot before, and then, you know, it's like if you watch all the people around you, they're all reflecting a certain part of yourself. And when you come to that understanding there, and you come to the understanding without judgment, then you're able to shift the perspective and you're able to shift that problem, because the problem only stays a problem when you judge it. When you judge people as in a certain way, because then you're feeding the problem. And people are addicted to problems. Why? Because it satisfies their needs somehow. Because even sometimes when you offer people a solution to their problem, they're not going that way because they're so used to the problem. It gives them a certain identity, right? So when you really truly look at yourself and go, okay, how is that problem serving me? And how can I rise above it? And more often than not, the answer is always love.
And you know, looking at this, love, of course, is the answer, as Beatles will say. Looking at people when they point at problems, a lot of the time they're distracting them from themselves. Look over there, there's the problem, there's the problem. Looking at people in your life, why do they keep pointing at the problems outside of themselves? And when people blame others for this and this and this and this, and you see that they're blaming, or you may see it in yourself, it's because it's what's going on in you, or it's going on in them. So if someone's blaming someone else, you've got to go, what are they feeling guilty about? Why are they blaming someone else? And then you go, and then you can start to stop looking everywhere else, looking within or looking at the source. So you're not blindsided by the fact they're pointing everywhere else but at themselves.
This is a very, very important point that came from our experience. When you see somebody coming in and they are judging the other person, use that as a signal to see how they are behaving. That is basically a reflection of how they are acting towards you, or how they're feeling guilty acting towards you, or whatever. Because that's a deflection. That is a deflection mechanism. Like Alex said, don't look over there, you know, don't look here, look over there. But exactly at that point in time, they are showing you what they are doing and what they're feeling guilty about. And this is exactly when you say,
yeah, they're
what are
giving
you
you
hiding?
everything you need. They're saying it. You go, oh, where are they doing that potentially to me or for, you know, that's where the wisdom comes. You go, okay, I can't stay my head in the sand here. Something's happening. Let me look into it. Let me ask the kind of questions. Let me, you know, do I need to get external help? Depending on where you are, maybe it's in your business right now and there's people you know, in your company are saying this, this, and this, and you need to find that solution, which we've been doing recently, to stop all the problem pointing, like children crying and screaming. You want to go, right, let's just focus on the solution. Why are they blaming here? What is actually going on? Maybe you can't do it yourself. That's when you hire people to come in to say, right, let's find out actually what's going on. If a company is kicking off that much, and they're blaming everyone, there's got to be something at the source here that may not be the truth of what they've shared. And it's your job and our job to find out what the truth is.
It's all about the search for the truth. It's not about making anybody wrong. It's not about punishing anyone. It's always about the search of truth. And you know what, funny enough, truth is neutral.
Yeah, truth is just the truth.
It's just the meaning we give it. And the fears that people attach to that truth based on their experiences.
Yeah, but you just want to say, but the more you are looking to pursue the truth and the more they react to the fact you're looking for the truth is a sign to say they're about to be found out. They're kicking off, they're saying, no, more over here, more over there. It's that sort of avoiding the distraction of it and pursuing forward towards the truth.
And you know what? It is actually the main epidemic of this world. The main epidemic of this world is deceit, you know, because people like to present themselves, masks, people like to present themselves a certain way because they would like to get a certain benefit out of it. And they're just seeing how far they can go living up to that deceit. And that's why I say that right now is like a massive energetic cleanup, because all of that deceit is coming up to the surface and it needs to be dealt with and it needs to be reprogrammed, that it doesn't happen over and over again. Because deceit happens in relationships, in businesses, it happens in countries. I mean, for God's sakes, we're seeing this with all the political debates and everything that happens. It is all built deceit upon deceit upon deceit. But what is deceit? Deceit is illusion. Deceit is creating a certain illusion that people put their focus and their trust in. And that illusion is just a hologram. It has absolutely no substance to it. It's got no foundation to it. It's that when there is not enough focus on it long enough, that illusion disappears.
We've seen it in the media, my goodness. They've propped up something, they build this whole media thing about it, they'll make up something, this hologram of a idea that is not true. And you know what? It's yesterday's news. Like it's never happened. This hologram
because it's not
gone.
real. That hologram is just a shell. It's just, you can only pretend for that long because the truth will always find its way. It's just how it is. And when you're honest and you're truthful with yourself and with others, you have nothing to worry about, ever.
Yeah, and it's actually having the trust in a leader that is not about themselves, it's about for other people, right? And because I remember hearing this, that an entrepreneur is a guru because they create an idea, something like a new company or whatever it is, technology, and then they have everyone else agree that that is a worthy idea to get working on. So they created something out of nothing. They got other people to believe in that idea, and then they're working towards making it real. So this is where all this stuff comes from. But then many people create something, an idea, to put money towards it, but it's really nothing there at all. It's used for them to take out and provide for themselves. And it's seeing that, going, is that what's going on? That they created an idea, they built this thing around it, but really they're just funneling money for themselves? Or is it really for the greater good of humanity, for the very technology, for whatever it is that, like Elon Musk, you know, his substance, right? He sees it, he creates it, he puts money towards it, he makes it happen. And there's entrepreneurs who have, you know, what's the pyramid schemes and things like this.
Ponzi schemes.
Yeah, Ponzi schemes. It's just an idea of it, but it's not real. There's no substance. It just collapses on itself, like the famous case of, I think Robert De Niro played him in that film. I can't remember. Was his name Ponzi or something? I think that's where it resided from. I'm sure you know. No substance at all, but people believed that this person was building something, and other people were. So it's, you know, there's so many different sides to it, and it's you pursuing the truth and not being scared of the truth, not seeing things worse as they are, better than they are just pursuing the truth in your own life, your personal life. As much as it may be hard to find that, because you're propping up the illusion, the deception you're propping up, because you're not willing to look for the truth, because you feel like it's going to hurt. So you want to ignore it, and then when it comes back, it's, oh, it's all of them. Well, you kept it in. You kept the energy, you propped up the illusion. And it's hard to admit that and go, I made that happen. I created that in my reality. Why? Rather than being a victim, is learning from it to go, well, there you go.
And this is where it brings us to the main part of this whole discussion. Why was it all there for? You know, because like I said to you before, you know, the sadness and the apathy and the disappointment hold in it the seed for success. They hold in it the seed for the opportunities. Once you pass that very difficult mill of self-judgment, self-criticism, projection, you know, whatever it might be, it is a human path. We cannot avoid that. What we can do, we can master it. How do you master it? You have compassion. You just observe it. You don't participate in it as if you are it. You are watching it happen. Observing it. Not attaching to the ideas, just observing it. Now, from the greatest disappointments comes the great opportunities. Why? Because what you're doing is you are learning to give yourself the power. You're giving the power back to yourself, the self-belief back to yourself by training that muscle of getting that channel strong with who you truly are, calling yourself here, asking for the reason why this is happening, and just surrendering to your higher self, showing you the way, where you become so flexible exactly on the methods, but you're becoming set on the truth, exactly as Alex said, without any attachment to it, without any emotional attachment to it, because mastering your emotions is the reason why these things are coming into our world, because by mastering our emotions, we are mastering our energy flow. Our focus and our emotions is what creates our reality, is what funnels our reality. If we are looking at it without the emotional attachment, but we are creating it from the perspective of abundance and purpose and mission that is higher than your lower self emotions. When you make it bigger than yourself, when you humble yourself enough and focus on your higher purpose, then it starts to create results that you've never even dreamt of. And that's why I said to you, the greats like Oprah, the greats like Tony Robbins, the greats like Nelson Mandela, they have all walked that path in order to serve as an example for you. The greatest disappointments are the greatest successes and the greatest achievements.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill says it in his book. I'm going to try to get this quote. Every knockback, every failure brings with it a seed of an equal or greater opportunity. So there's always, and if you haven't read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, I suggest you read that, because it's so rich in experience of so many business people, but it's very spiritual. It has this sort of a sense of energy of how to focus and what to focus towards, and it's really a building block book for all in personal development. And Tony says it himself, suffering is basically these three things: the feeling of loss, the feeling of less, and the feeling of never. You know, I've lost it, that's it. You feel like it's gone, right? Or you feel it's less, I have less of what I had, and so you feel like you're suffering. And if you're never going to have it again, you know, you break up with someone, oh, never again will I have this love, whatever it is. We kind of go into the romance of the suffering because we're disillusioned. And to really be someone of this world is not to be disillusioned by everything that happens, right? It's to always see the balance, the equilibrium of it. Because it's like a scale, you know, less of something happens, it drops it like this. It's to then quickly see the other side to balance it out again. I think I've got less of this, but where have I gained something else? You can't just have less and less and less. There's always a gain somewhere. And you never have nothing ever again, because energy doesn't disappear, it transforms, right? It goes from one place to another place. And nothing's ever lost, nothing's ever less. But the mind will go, no. It will convince you in every way, which way Sunday, that is not true. I have less of this and I haven't got this. And your job is to go, oh, okay, mind, thank you for sharing. I'm going to focus on what I do have right now. I've got this, I've got that, I've got it. And you're building it up to the scale, kind of goes, whoop, and there you are in that place, balance, where you can actually see things for what they are again. If you're like this, or you're like this, you're disillusioned. I've got, you know, maybe you don't see the less of things, and you think you've got more than what you've actually got, and you become into this ego, this, how good am I? Universe will slap you around the face.
So true.
So you've got to bring yourself to equilibrium so the universe doesn't do it for you.
That is a beautiful analogy, because that's the humbling process of life. When you think you are the best thing since sliced bread.
Bee's knees.
The bee's knees. That's exactly when it's the most dangerous moment, when life will come and show you the other side of it.
Yeah.
And it will be for your highest good anyways. It will be for your best self anyways, to humble yourself down, to actually surrendering to yourself, to life. This is the greatest moments. And I was waking up this morning with a thought: the more you know you don't know. Somebody gave me an analogy, I think it was my dad's business partner at some point, that he was quoting, if I'm not mistaken, Socrates. And so if you're looking at the flat surface, and say you're going, this is the circle and this is how much I know, and what that circle touches is how much you don't know, right? The more that circle grows of how much you know, the more it grows of what you don't know. And that is why coming to conclusions before you've seen the full picture, reacting, making judgments, making statements before you know the full picture and you've given it the honor to learn about it, will later on shoot you in the foot.
So, and help with your ego here, going, I don't need to learn anything. Learning is just remembering, as Socrates said. So look at it, tell your ego, hey, I'm just wanting to remember the things I already know by learning. So you're just learning it. So get rid of the idea of I know. When someone's talking to you, just say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of I know. I'm going to become a student. Because if I'm someone who knows and I've got nowhere else to learn, then I can't grow my capacity. I'm going to be stuck where I am. How can you grow your life when you are thinking that you know everything? And it's so true. The more you learn and you listen to this stuff, it's scary, because you suddenly realize, God, I actually know nothing. But once you accept that, go, wow, even the greats know nothing. That's why they're so great.
The greats are the ones who actually are humble enough to say they know nothing. The ones who are ego-driven go, I know everything. You know, there's nobody, I think, I'm not here politically bashing anyone, but I'm just referring it as a point that,
well, whoever says it.
Whoever said it, he was saying, nobody knows about this more than I do. Nobody knows about that more than I do. Life has a funny way of showing you that there is the other side, that somebody does know better. And it's not about that. It's not really the competition about who knows more, because as life progresses, you will learn more about you.
Well, it's
more
like,
than anything else. You are your best project, really.
Well, how many successful business people know they don't know? You don't really see many successful people saying, I know everything. You just don't see it. And if they are successful, then how do they become successful? When they're humbled, it's because they've done the work, they've got substance. For those who act like they know and they got everything, be wary. Be wary of those people that say they know everything, who have things that you think you want. Maybe it's propped up by an illusion. Maybe there's no substance behind it, and they will get their life lesson. So be careful where you learn from people who say, I know everything, look at me, and look at my flashy things I have. Really, you may be getting a teacher who is only saying what they think that you need to hear in order for them to prop up their own illusion of what success is.
So this is really our experience combined. This is our energy and our, understanding of all of this, that we wholeheartedly delivered to you with the intention of empowering you. First and foremost, to empower you, because you are the one who is behind the driving wheel of the car. You are the one who makes all these experiences happen. And the sooner you learn from them, the sooner you will be thankful for them. And you can stop that karmic disillusionment carry on going through the generations to come after you. You're doing really important work. That is the most important work.
Yeah.
Right?
So, you know, do not beat yourself up if things have happened or you're looking back and go, oh, how did I not see it? You know, progression equals happiness. By just starting now, doing the work, you're going to feel better now. So why wait? Do what's ever necessary. You know, watch more videos like this. Get the books. Start surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are into the world of growth, who are not looking to focus on the problems and becoming the victims. If you notice those people around you, distance yourself immediately and start to find people. There's groups out there who will support you on this journey, and you will start to feel better about yourself because you're taking control. You realize you're not a victim of the mind. You tell the mind what to do, and you get to master this thing, right? We get to master the very powerful stuff that's made from stars, that this consciousness that you have. When you really finally utilize it, you realize how powerful you actually are. People are really more scared of the fact they're so powerful, right? It's like you manifest these things in your life, and you know this comes with great power comes great responsibility. You have a responsibility for yourself to step up and find out actually what is going on behind the bonnet here. Get to understand what it is, because you really can create anything, and it would be a crying shame for you to create more drama and mess, because the world needs less of that. Okay, we need solutions, we need love, we need compassion, and we don't need the judgments and everything else that come along with it. So this is our job, to transcend the level of consciousness together by putting that into the conscious soup, and so that we can really level up and turn the world to what we want it to really be.
Yes, and thank you for being here with us. Thank you for your attention to yourself, honoring yourself at this point in time, because this is an invaluable information. And it's invaluable in the sense that you have given it to yourself. You honored yourself enough to give it to yourself. And so we honor you for being here. We are so blessed and so grateful that we get to share these experiences with you. So
yeah, thank you. We're hearing it for the first time ourselves, so thank you so much. Mwah.
God bless.
Much love.